Today, we'll be introducing to you our topic, Biodiversity and Healthy Society. In this chapter, we talk all about first, what is biodiversity, the importance of biodiversity and threats to biodiversity, and lastly, Earth's biodiversity hotspot. What is biodiversity? So, according to Cunningham 2013, it is a variation of living things making the world beautiful and exciting place to live. So, God is so good because He made the world wonderful because He wants us to live comfortably. Biodiversity refers to the variety of living species on Earth, including plants, animals, fungi, and bacteria. It is also rich to the point many species have yet to be discovered. There are some species that are being threatened with extinction due to human activities, putting Earth's magnificent biodiversity at risk. It is the variation among living things from different sources including terrestrial, marine, desert, ecosystem, and ecological complexes of which they are a part. Biodiversity includes the number of different organisms and their relative frequencies in an ecosystem. It reflects the organization of organisms at different levels. The biodiversity also holds ecological economic significance. It provides us the fuel, clothing, housing, and several other sources. There are three types of biodiversity to preserve ecological system and functions. First, genetic, species, and ecological. So, the genetic biodiversity refers to the variation among the genetic resources of the organism. It also measures the variety of the same genes with an individual species. Species biodiversity describes the different number of different kind of organism within an ecosystem. It is a variation of different types of species found in a particular area. Lastly, the ecological biodiversity. The variations in the plant and animal species living together and connected by food chains or food web. Diversity and maintenance are very important for sustaining life on Earth. Therefore, it is sufficient to have good knowledge of biodiversity for a sustainable livelihood. Let's proceed to healthy society. Healthy society is the one who encourage and motivate each other instead of causing downfall. So, the people who do not judge others, mind their own business, and still care about surroundings constitute is considered as healthy society. According to my research, there are some principles to be considered to be a healthy society. First, social, environmental, and economic factors are important determinants of human and are interrelated. All sectors of community are interrelated. Sectors need to share their knowledge, expertise, and perspectives and work together to create a healthy society. So, the components that based on my research are accessibility, affordability, stability, diversity, safety, and equity.
Okay, we've already known what is biodiversity. Now I'll be discussing the importance of biodiversity. Biodiversity provides food and medicines. Well, more than just that, biodiversity is so important to us for the reason that it provides food for the world, provides air and water, provides material for clothing and shelter, it gives income to people and provide venue for nature trips or treks, mountain climbing, bird watching and enjoying the beach, and inspiration for the artists doing their masterpiece. If you would ask how people get income from biodiversity, my example are the tourist spots. Example of our tourist spots are the majestic Choco Hills, the beautiful Boracay, the awesome Palawan, and the gorgeous Siargao. Tourism boosts country's economy by creating many new job openings for the local people. Tourists spend money on a wide range of services such as hotels, amusement parks, transportation, food, restaurants, and medical services. This way, tourism yields an additional income to people and supporting the country's economy. pharmaceutical products derived from medicinal plants. We have lagundi for cough, yerba buena for pain, sambong for renal stones, bayabas for diarrhea, bawang or garlic for high blood pressure, and many more. Also not just limited to plants but also in animals and microbes. Biodiversity can aid ecosystem stability. Maintaining biodiversity can be essential for other species and other ecological functions. You know what? Greater biodiversity in ecosystems, species, and individuals lead to greater stability. Threats to biodiversity. Edward Osborne Wilson summarizes human threats to biodiversity as HIPPO: habitat destruction, invasive species, pollution, population growth, and overharvesting. When habitat is destroyed, the carrying capacity for indigenous plants, animals, and other organisms is reduced, so that populations decline, sometimes up to the level of extinction. Invasive species is a non-native species whose introduction does or likely to cause economic, environmental harm or harm to human, animal or plant health, because there are events of killing each other, competing, and affects habitat. Pollution. Pollutants like fertilizer use and chemicals from factories, human waste, noise pollution, and light pollution. Population growth. There are events of land use changes, the natural habitat conversion for human use and monoculture. Overharvesting, particularly to aquatic species like fishes, but not limited to aquatic species, also in plants, forests, and grazing pastures. I would like to wrap up my discussion on the importance of biodiversity by saying that our unending job is to manage our nature, manage our earth and the life on earth for our own benefit and for the future. There is no future when there's no nature.
Biodiversity hotspot must meet two strict criteria, which is at least 1,500 vascular plant and endemics, which is to say, it must have a high percentage of plant that found in the forest or found in the planet. Other words, it is irreplaceable, meaning it is impossible to place it lost or damaged. Like for example of our biodiversity hotspot, which is the Palawan Island, Siargao, Chocolate Hills. So that would be the example of our hotspot in the Philippines. So, and Bohol, huh? And we all know that biodiversity, it is a biological hotspot is in the region, our planet with high levels of biodiversity. A good variety of plant and animal species being threatened due to the starting to humanity to live in. So, our planet consists of various species that building blocks of Earth. To make it simpler, biodiversity is rich of high chance of species extinct mainly because of humans starting to live there. So, a lot of examples of biodiversity in the world. So, it could be another source of income of people, like tourism or tourist spot. So that would be the example of biodiversity that can people gain more profit. A crisis of historic proportion due to the development, urbanization, industrial activity, pollution, and disease is being faced by us.
Philippine biodiversity and its status. The Philippines is one of 18 mega biodiverse countries of the world, containing two-thirds of Earth's biodiversity and between 70% and 80% of world's plant and animal species. Species endemism is very high, covering at least 25 genera of plants and 49% of terrestrial wildlife, and Philippines is ranked fourth in bird endemism. The status of the Philippine biodiversity is declining rapidly due to land use change, climate change, invasive species, overexplosion, and pollution. And Philippines have at least 700 threatened species, 42 species of land mammal, 127 species of birds, 42 species of amphibians.